4 a.m. this morning, nothing released. The phone 3A and kind of 3A Pro. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, and we're going to get into the specs. We're going to get into everything. I know there's a lot of questions online. Is it going to work with this carrier, with that carrier? Well, fortunately for you, I have a lot of experience with nothing phones. I was highly excited, anticipating this release because the phone 2A, one of my favorite devices, if not my favorite. I'm not going to say it was my favorite, but it's right up there. My number one thing I wanted nothing to improve upon on the next version of this device, and not only the phone 3A, but the phone 3, right, is the cameras. The Nothing Phone 2A had a pair of 50 megapixel sensors on the back, 50 megapixel main sensor and a 50 megapixel ultra wide. This Nothing Phone 3A, you get a 50 megapixel main sensor, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and a 50 megapixel telephoto lens. Now, so they sort of maneuvered the sensor, so it kind of takes a downgrade in the ultra wide, but a huge leap in the telephoto. The only phone that's available to purchase, sucks, I found this out this morning, is the phone 3A in white and in black. If you're in the United States, if you try to buy the blue phone 3A, it says sign up. You put in your email and says, and they say, we'll let you know when it's ready. You're like, what the hell? I want to buy it. Because that's what I try to buy, the blue one right off the bat. Nope. So this is the 3A. When the 3A Pro is released, I'll do another video and we'll discuss the 3A Pro. But right now it's the 3A. So here and I'm going to get into, compatibility with US carriers, because I know many people are asking about that. So the screen actually got bigger, and it looks bigger in video reviews. The phone 2A versus the 3A. The 2A has a 6.7 inch AMOLED display and 1080p plus, and the phone 3A has a 6.77 inch AMOLED 1080p plus display, and it looks a little bigger. You can see it. So that's fine with me. It was a decent sized phone before, it'll be a decent sized phone now. 201 grams. What makes it heavier this year than last year and makes it more premium, which might have added to that $20 price increase, right? Inflation or parts? Probably both, because not only did they increase the cameras on here, not only did they improve the CPU on here, they made the back of the phone glass. Yes. So many phone 2A users out there know, I used my 2A without a case, because if I drop it, it's not going to break. It's freaking plastic. Now what they're doing is putting glass panel on the very back of the phone, so it'll feel more premium. It'll feel like the phone 2, and I'm very excited for that. Very excited. But glass weighs more than plastic, so it increased the weight of this phone, I think about by 10 to 15 grams. Not a huge deal, but it will be a little heavier if you're used to the 2A. Now, this year it's going to have dual SIM. You can either put 2 nano SIM cards in there. Well, it was dual SIM last year, but what makes this different, they're implementing an eSIM on here. So you can run 2 nano SIMs, or you can run a eSIM and a nano SIM in here. And we'll get to the carrier compatibility in just a second. Now it is IP64, dust and water resistant. The phone 2A was, I believe, IP54. Same AMOLED strips, same LED lights on the back. Where are we at? Now, another interesting thing, Panda Glass. Never heard of this. I'll probably look up and do some homework here, probably tomorrow. So they switched from a Gorilla Glass, I believe it was Gorilla Glass 5 in the 2A. Now they moved on to a company that has a product called Panda Glass. You have Gorilla Glass, Panda Glass. Yeah. whatever. I have no idea what that means. I don't know how strong it is, if it resists scratches better, if it's more drop resistant. I have no idea. I'm going to look into that tomorrow. It is Ultra HDR image supported. This will run on Android 15, nothing OS 3.1 out the box. Let's see. Now, when you purchase this online, all they have for the US market is 12 gigs, 256. You can't buy the 8 gig of RAM, 128. You can't buy the 8 gig of RAM, 256 gigs storage. The only model you can buy is the white or black Phone 3A with 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage. Here is the 50 megapixel sensors right here, a pair of those, and then the 8 megapixel ultra wide. And up front, it has a 32 megapixel selfie shooter. Does shoot 4K 30 frames per second. Video, selfie camera, 1080p, 30 frames per second. Remember, this is a $379 phone. Sometimes I have to catch myself. We're not talking about a flagship here. We're not talking about a S25 Ultra, right? You know, you have to remind yourself, this is still a $379 phone, so it's going to have to compromise some, right? But that's fine, right? Totally fine. Now, loudspeakers, yes. 3.5 millimeter jack, no. We all know that. Now, here's the cool thing. Bluetooth 5.4, right out the box at the latest and greatest. Wi-Fi 6 compatible, which kind of, it doesn't suck. Wi-Fi 6 is fine. But we're already on Wi-Fi 7. Again, it's a budget phone. But I was hoping you would have Wi-Fi 6E, and that was not the case, just Wi-Fi 6. And the other disappointing thing, not necessarily disappointing, but the other thing I was hoping for was UFS storage 3.1. I've seen different reports, and I've seen reports saying it has UFS storage 2.0, and I've seen reports saying it has UFS storage 3.0. So whatever it is, it's not the latest 3.1 or 4.0. But again, it's a $379 phone. You know, that's all right. USB Type-C 2.0 charging port, under display fingerprint sensor. That actually the 2A worked very, very well with me. So, and I normally have issues with my fingerprints. So 5,000 milliampere hour battery, 50 watt wired charging. It goes from 0 to 50% in 19 minutes. 0 to 50% in 19 minutes. That's faster than the Samsung Galaxy S25 lineup, straight up. The S25 Plus and S25 Ultra charge at 45 watts, and the S25 base model charges at 25 watts. Now, those go technically from 0 to 100 in an hour. Now, I believe mine charges a little faster than that, but guaranteed the Nothing Phone 3A will charge faster, should theoretically, than the S25 series. So, and I believe last year it was 45 watt, or 40 or 45 watts. So they increased the charging speeds on there. Now, it says price right here, $399, but I got mine for $379. So what is the beta program? So the Nothing beta program, some people, and it's no fault of yours, it is confusing, but that's why I'm here. I've had 4 or 5 phones with Nothing on the beta program. So don't let this confuse you. If you buy a phone, the Phone 3A from Nothing, technically it's in their beta program. That does not mean you're going to be running beta software. If you buy the Nothing Phone 3A or 3A Pro in the US on their beta program, that's the only way you can buy it, you will be running the very same software, the Nothing OS 3.1, that everybody else in the world has. There is no beta program. I mean, technically that's what it's called, but your software is going to be stable. It's a stable build. It's the same build as everybody else has. I personally think they need to change the name because it is confusing for people, because they're like, I don't want to get into a beta program. There's a lot of people that don't want to mess with that, and I completely understand it. I love beta stuff. I want the latest and greatest right now, even if it's got a bug or two, as long as it's not a massive bug, you know, I'll deal with it. But this is not that. This is the real deal. It just has a beta name, and I think that's causing some issues and/or some confusion with people. So all nothing products on the beta program. At least phones are. The 3A, well, the upcoming 3A, 2A, CMF phones, stuff like that. And basically why they're calling it a beta program, or why they're calling it something other than just a regular nothing purchase, is they're a small company, right? They don't have the resources yet that Samsung has, or Apple has, or shit, even OnePlus, right? They just don't have the resources to fully operate. I don't believe they do have a head of North American department, or head of North America as far as a regional regions go, but I don't believe they have any offices or any real estate here in the US. And they do tons of places in India. I believe they're opening up their 500th store, in physical brick and mortar store in India. So it's sort of like we'll sell to the US, but again, I think they need to change their name. So don't let the beta program scare you. You're going to be running a stable build, and there's no drawbacks, minus not being able to buy their devices, right? Because just like on here, their blue one not available, which sucks, because you know it's available in Europe, you know it's available in London, you know it's available in India. So yes, you get to return the device if you don't like it. If you damage it, they now have a customer service for repair, which is good. So as time goes on, you can slowly see them getting a little bigger and a little bigger. And yes, you can get a full refund. Now, let's jump in, before we get out of here, let's jump into carriers. So going back to here, let me share this tab. And I'm going to put these links in the description box below. So look at this right here. So here's the networks. So if you want to get this thing, here are the bands it works on, right? And I did the homework for everybody, and I got on this website here, looked at all the bands that's in this phone, and I got on each and every carrier, well, the 3 major carriers, and located the bands that they operate on. And I did the homework for everybody, so you don't have to, right? Now check this out. So here is officially, does the Nothing Phone 3A, will it work with USA carriers? Well, we're about to find out. 4G, 5G, ultra wideband, all that good stuff. So let's get into it. Linked here, or it will be linked in the description box below. Here are all the bands, but like I said, I did all the work for you. Now, what you might want to do is pause the video, take a screenshot so you have all the bands. Now, all you need are the 3 major networks. So let me do this right now. So as you can tell, up here, I have AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon. And what you see is the bands that are in the phone over here on the right side of the screen. And then I paired up all the bands that from each major carrier. And these are the bands that will work inside the phone. So now, if you have Metro, if you have Mint Mobile, that would fall under T-Mobile. Yes, and those bands would be correct. If you have Cricket, that would fall under AT&T. And now, there's so many smaller MVNOs. There's so many smaller carriers. I'll let you do that part. So if you have a C Spire, or if you have a Simple Mobile, or Mobile X, or whatever it is, I'll let you do that. It's easy. It's just a quick Google search. What network does Mobile X use? That's it. What mobile network does Simple Mobile use? Boom, that's it. Your answer will be right there. And then it'll say T-Mobile, because they do. Simple Mobile, Mobile X use T-Mobile. And then you'll take that information plug it into the screenshot you're taking of me right now, cheese, and then you will pair it up and you'll be able to see. Now, we got word, we were anticipating the phone 3A to not really work with Verizon this year, kind of like the phone 2A and the phone 2 and the phone 1. It works best with GSM-based carriers. It does not carry and or pick up any CDMA networks. Now, Verizon traditionally was a CDMA carrier. That's why it doesn't play that well with Verizon. T-Mobile, AT&T are GSM-based carriers. But, kind of surprised. It looks like this phone 3A might work with Verizon this year. Last year, wouldn't work. Even AT&T, very, very spotty with the bands, with connectivity. It looks like this year they've added some bands. I'm going to go back and look and see what the phone 2A had, or what bands it worked with. But right now it looks like it should work. Now, don't take my word for it. You need to obviously do your own homework. Don't blame me if it doesn't work with a Verizon or a C-Spire or somebody like that. But they match up. So, not all, right? I think T-Mobile has, I think, a total of 7 4G bands, and only, you can tell, 4 of them work out of the 7. Now, the surprising thing is only one 5G band with T-Mobile works. Now, don't freak out. That band 41 that T-Mobile uses is one of their, I believe, is their most widely used band. I did a network check on my device, and I'm jumping back between between band 12 and band 41. So, you know, and there's apps you can download, and it'll tell you what band you're on, right, in the Play Store. I might link some of those in the description box below, just so you can kind of get a good idea of what band your device is running on, just so you know, so you can kind of match it up and see here. So just one available. Look, it's not the greatest, but it'll work, right? And if you're in a spot where T-Mobile, the band 41 does not locate, it'll just fall back on one of the 4G bands. And actually, it's not a bad idea. It sounds like a bummer. Actually not. I did a test on T-Mobile 4G LTE networks last week. Pretty strong. I mean, it was like 147 megabits per second download. 147. It's pretty good, right? That'll stream HD and do everything you need. So it's not a bummer if it does fall back on 4G. But, side note, if you're going to use this Nothing Phone 3A with a carrier other than T-Mobile, so if you're going to use it with Verizon or a Verizon MVNO like Spectrum, or if you're going to use it with AT&T like a MVNO like a Cricket, right? If you're going to use it on Cricket, which is an MVNO of AT&T, if you're going to use it on any other carrier outside of T-Mobile or a T-Mobile MVNO, you have to call your carrier and you have to let them know. You have to, what we call it as you have to whitelist the device. So if you have T-Mobile with this Nothing Phone 3A, when you get it in, you just pop the SIM in, turn it on, and go. Again, if you're using this Nothing Phone 3A on any other carrier other than a T-Mobile based network, you have to call your carrier and you have to tell them, hey, I just got a Nothing Phone 3A, and it has some of your bands, some not. But I was instructed by the manufacturer, Nothing did say this on the stream this morning, if you're using it outside of T-Mobile, you need to contact your carrier and whitelist it. So what the carrier is going to do is they're going to say, oh, okay, well, let me get your IMEI. You give the carrier, when you're on the phone with them, the IMEI number of your Nothing Phone 3A, and they'll essentially kind of link it up in kind of a bad description, but that's basically what they do. They'll link it up, their network, to the phone IMEI number in the background, just to make sure the carrier knows you're using this device with this IMEI, and our towers are to beam all of our good frequencies to that phone. similar to what Metro PCS customers have to do. If you've used Metro PCS, all y'all know, whenever you get a new phone, you got to call Metro and you got to say, hey, I'm using an iPhone 15 Pro Max, or I'm using a S23 Ultra, and then you got to give them the IMEI number. Well, what they're doing is basically making that connection behind the scenes. And that's a good thing, right? It may be a pain in the ass, may take an extra 5-7 minutes, but it's well worth it. So T-Mobile customers do not have to do that, or Mint Mobile. Any carrier that uses T-Mobile as their network, they don't have to call. But again, anybody using this Nothing Phone 3A with a carrier that's not T-Mobile based, you need to call our carrier, let them know I'm using the Nothing Phone 3A, and they'll ask for your IMEI, and they'll link it behind the scenes. So looks like it should work. That's another big improvement I was hoping they would make, is in the modem department. Now, you know why? It probably makes sense, because they're using the new Snapdragon CPU, has a new Snapdragon modem, right? Which allows for a much improved modem over the MediaTek modem, because both MediaTek and Snapdragon make CPUs and modems. The Phone 2A had a MediaTek modem and CPU, and now that they switched to Snapdragon and a Snapdragon modem, it looks like they're supporting more bands. So very good news for all of you that are potentially going to get this phone. It looks like it should be more usable here in the United States. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please give me a holler. Put a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think. Are you going to get it? Are you at least interested if you're not going to get it? Or do you want the 3A Pro over the 3A? Do you like the blue color better than the white color? Let me know what you're thinking. I check the comments every day. I'll certainly reply back if you have a comment or a question. And don't forget, when the Nothing Phone 3A Pro comes out, I will jump on here and make a video and go down the spec sheet on the 3A Pro. Should be here this time next week. So if you're getting this, if you're thinking about getting this, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to do case reviews. We're going to do an unboxing, even though the unboxings kind of suck now, but it's a novelty item, right? Not many people see what a Nothing phone looks like, so I'll skip the unboxings on Samsung and Apple and all that stuff, but I'll still do it on the Nothing phone. So let me know what you think, and subscribe to the channel for more Nothing Phone 3A news and reviews. Appreciate the time, and as always, I will see you tomorrow. Peace. Don't forget, tomorrow I'm doing the tutorial how to flash the beta One UI 7 beta 4 on the Samsung S24 series. I'm going to do that tomorrow. We're going to finish that tomorrow. Peace out.